Hey, aloha, welcome. Thank you for joining me in this photo reading session where we'll be activating Algebra by Barron's the easy way. This was done by Douglas Downing, PhD, and we've already done our prepare, our preview, our photo read, and our post view. And with this book, we just took on a chapter. Because most likely, if you're working with a math book or something like that, you're probably using it in class. So you want to work on just one chapter at a time. There's no right way. There's probably a curriculum for you. And questions are already applied in side math. So be open to this. So we're just going to work on equations and figure out how, the answers to these questions that we created from the post view session. But if you don't have your photo reading whole mind course, you can pick one up through me. I recommend getting it because that is the best way you can understand each step of the whole mind system. Most Effective by Paul R. Sheely. You can pick it up through me in the description below. So good luck. So let's get started. Of course, let's get into a prepared state to activate this book. Place your hands on your knees, get into a comfortable position, nice clean space, good lighting, comfortable area, comfortable chair, good clean desk. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Do that one more time. Just try to release some tension from your body. Good, and because you're a master photo reader, you can place a little point on the back top part of your skull and enter the photo focus state. This will help us retrieve the information we want from the author and really dive into this book a little thoroughly. So I will be utilizing the technique of photo reading. Might ask some more questions. I'll use a little bit of skittering, dipping, kind of whatever works for you in the methods of activation. Use those steps. Well, I will be using mind mapping, so big start, algebra. Great, we want to get to know a little bit more about algebra. So, focusing on two chapters, equations and graphs. Simple, chapter 2. And chapter 9. If I don't get to chapter 9, that's fine. Just need to focus on one chapter at a time. You can get in more depth as you approach your photo reading and your math book. So each math book has exercises. So why don't we write down a couple of them? Okay, I want to build on equations. So what is the golden rule? So what's the main point of an equation, I got a little prop stand. If you have yours, you can use it. You don't need to use it, but it does help being at a 45-degree angle. It just helps the eyes, the neck, the spine. That is the information highway, so you do want to keep stable and take care of yourself from there. So, whatever you do unto one side of an equation, do the same thing unto the other side of the equation. Then the equation will remain true, assuming that it was true to begin with. Okay? In particular, you can add the same number to both sides. Subtract the same number from both sides. Multiply both sides by the same number and divide both sides by the same number. So, equations have a golden rule. The golden rule of equations is that what happens on one side happens on the other side. However you want to display that, you can make a little tennis match, the ball up and over the net, bouncing, ball doing the exact same thing, going back. But in this sense, we're going to give an example. So the example would be if you had, let's see, how did they set it up? Da-da-da-da. 100 plus 100 equals 200. Pretty simple. And on the opposite side, if you turn it around, 200 equals 100 plus 100. So what's happening on one side of the equation meaning the equal, a sign being applied to the overall math problem, then the other side is getting the same reaction. And they actually tell a story, which is fun. So you break it up, you know, you can do 100 plus 100, and you can break the other 200 up, 100 plus 100, and they just have to equal the same. So looks like they add in 1 unit. The scale became unbalanced. Do something quickly, the king shouted. It's hilarious. And, well, he added 1 to each side. So 201 is not equal to 100 plus 100. Well, then you have to add 1 to the other side. So it's 200 plus 1 is equal to 100 plus 100 plus 1. Well, that sounds silly, doesn't it? If there's an imbalance, just create balance. But the thing, or the point of it, is that gave them the ability to remove that 1 unit as well to even it back out to 200. Yeah, just different ways to write it out. However, you cannot divide both sides of an equation by 0, since you cannot divide anything by 0. So you can subtract both sides by 1, you can add both sides 1, but you can't use 0. Okay? You can multiply both sides of the equal equation by the same amount. 2 times 200 is equal to 2 times, in parentheses, 100 plus 100. And same thing for division. If you do 200 divided by 4, it's equal to, in parentheses, 100 plus 100 divided by 4. So the golden rule is what is happening on one side has to happen on the other side. That is partial to part of algebra, recognizing that an inequality will eliminate the possible equation. Let's find out. So if you start with a false equation, you'll end with a false equation in the simplest form. So if you don't know it, you can put the unequal sign, which is an equal sign with a slash in it. Stands for does not equal, okay? So, golden rule of equation. That's pretty simple. Got that understood? You know, this is something you can find on your own, in your own way, and activate as long as you want to find out all the information that you need for your book, because most likely in a math class it's already given to you the questions. So okay, great, how can I find the answers to these questions is a great starting point, and most books have an answer key in the back. So focus on what got you to that solution and keep on driving. Note taking is fantastic. Using the mind map approach can help. We're not trying to get all the information, but we are trying to soak in what we want from this author, from this book, from this experience. So have a little joy, have purpose for it. I feel pretty confident in golden rule. What does postulate mean? So postulates of equality. Any number is equal to itself in symbols. If A is any number, then A is A. So we're going to go create a line and understanding postulate. Using letters. That's how it works, using letters. So an example would be A equals A, B equals B, C equals C, D equals D, so on and so forth. So the technical name for this property is the reflexive property of equality. So there is a technical name. I'm going to jot that down. That will help me, my brain, keep this reflexive property of equality close by and handy in mind. Writing it down just does something for the brain. It sets it into action in the body, which sets it into a very substantial memory. I'm not saying I'm going to always remember reflexive property of equality due to based on, well, the technical name of postulates of equality, but you know, we'll see how it goes. It looks like there is a symmetric property of equality, which it's good to know that there's multiple levels. I want to definitely write these down and have them handy later in case I lose track of them, of what they mean. So there's a called a symmetric property of equality. Great, perfect. And that's in the case of, in symbols, if A and B are any two numbers. A equals B means the same thing as B equals A. So A equals B, same thing as B equals A. So that's an interesting word. And then of course in the last bit here, transitive property. If two numbers are both equal to a third number, they must be equal to each other. If A equals C and B equals C, then A equals B. So this is probably coming into the realm of triangles. I'm just speculating there. I have no idea at this point if my speculation is true, because my math ability is not the greatest, even though I do work on it. Not the greatest. So I do want to jot this down. Transitive property. So that's like if A equals B and C equals B, that must mean B equals C. Something like that. A equals, yeah. A equals C and B equals C, that means A equals B. Okay. Golden rule of equations. whatever you do to one side of an equation, do exactly the same to the other. In symbols, let A, B, and C be any three numbers. If A equals B, then A plus C equals B plus C. So utilizing the postulate of the golden rule equation, postulates of equality in the golden rule. An example of that would be A plus C equals B plus C. A minus C equals B minus C. And A times C equals B times C. A divided by C equals B divided by C. So this is good stuff to have in your memory bank on your mind map. Hey, it answers the question for me specifically, so make sure you're answering your questions. Get into detail, as much detail as you want. You can dive back into books as often as you like. Algebra is still the easiest subject I've ever had to learn, and that's a nice thing to hear, because sometimes we hear it's hard, but when something's hard, work on making it more comfortable. It's not always going to be easy, but as long as you can get it more comfortable, it's easier. You can actually deal with something that may be seemingly hard to grasp or comprehend. So, oh cool, here's an example. 54 plus, I don't know, equals 62. So how would we get to that to get the golden rule of this equation, to make sure that both sides of this equation are equal? Well, we can say 54 plus x equals 62. So now in the idea of the golden rule and the postulate of equality here, we're going to use the algebraic expression, or algebraic, what's it called? Notation, x, to figure out what we need to take from 62 to get the 54 plus x to equal 62. So we can do this by subtracting the 54 from each sides, and then we can get the amount that x should equal. So if 62 minus 54 is 8, then x must equal 8. So then it would be, final equation would be 54 plus 8 equals 62. Voila. So there's good handiness to using algebra to solve your math problems, the golden rule, as well as postulating of equality, to get to putting those together to get to a solution. And it looks like they're solving for x, so the solution would be x equals 8. And there's much more examples of this. For me, it's pretty easy to see, but why not do one more? Simple one, 10 plus x equals 15. So it's another subtraction one. Subtract 10 from each side, and you have 5 equals x. So the answer is that. Solution is x equals 5. Cool. And there's a worksheet of equations. That's pretty easy. That's all addition and subtraction. So, oh, nope, there's some multiplication and division. Great. Teaches you about, oh yeah, when it's connected, if multiplication is implied, it's not a times b, it's ab, which means a times b. It's not a times b times c, it's abc, which means a times b times c. It's not 2 times a, it's 2a, which means 2 times a. It's not c times x, it's cx, which means c times x, and so on and so forth, just like that. Last example was 10a hr. So it's not 10 times a times h times r, it's 10a hr. Cool. So this is fun. Algebra can be exciting, can be a lot of work. It's not mind-numbing. Again, what's hard can be comfortable just through practice. And so I've got my first 2 answers. I've got my mind map almost filled up. And there's a lot of little wizards here, so I'm going to just make a little wizard cap, a lightning bolt on it. Just an idea, as if getting smarter. I had a dunce cap once, but yeah, now it's a wizard cap. How about that? So, is a story the best way to form an algebraic equation? It may be. Each equation may be a story in itself. That's what I'm starting to gather. Excellent. Yeah, it looks like most of these exercises are tiny little questions and stories. Plane is traveling between 2 cities that are 660 miles apart. So a story is something that when it's being told, algebra may be a great way to define the story's quantities and contents. The algebraic question definitely can help deepen the stories, deepen your knowledge about the story. So just, for example, the train, or like if you're going on travel, you're going to use algebra to figure out how far you're going, how long it'll take, and all those steps. And just for fun, the story can be told outside of it, and hey, maybe algebra makes you a better storyteller. How about that? Makes you a better storyteller. That's pretty cool. Storyteller. So have fun with algebra. Let's see. Implied multiplication rule. Oh yeah, the implied multiplication rule that I assume is what ABC means. Cool. Here we go. The equation we were trying to solve was 10 times x plus 5 times x equals 35 equals x. So used implied multiplication, we wrote equation. So yeah, there we go. We got it right there. So it's 10x rather than 10 times x. 10x plus 5x minus 35 equals x plus 7. That's just a great way to clean up the equation, make it actually look readable and not so long and messy. Even equations can get long, so shortening them helps. Okay, that actually ends the chapter on equations. Graphs. So see, you can do this with any chapter. Spend 10-15 minutes on it. Then of course you got to do your work. That's always implied. Do some exercises. Patiently get through your work. Get through the reading. And obviously, if you have a week to do one chapter, and you can get the chapter done in 10 minutes, because, I don't know, photo reading just seems more fun. It doesn't seem as though you're slogging through word for word. You don't have to read that he said, she said stuff, but here you can get a great grasp on, what you want to know, what you want to learn from each book. And in this case, this is Algebra Barron's Algebra, easy way. And it looks like most graphs are slopes, so that's fun to know. I know there's a lot of questions on I have for graphs, but here's just for fun. This is just because you may not have this book, you may have a different book on algebra, but this book gives you these little tiny pictures, which is a lot of fun, I have to say, because, hey, at first math's boring, but there's a lot of interest there. I mean, if you want to go planetary, if you want to go, you know, if you want to fly jets, if you want to go into the nautic realm, so under the sea, which I mean, you know, carpentry, there's so many things that use math, that using photo reading to get the skills from math, I see that you can definitely do this. You can activate for as long as you want. You can get all the information from these books that you want, and you can really grow using the mind map. Now, obviously, mine's half complete, but I think this is where we're going to end this video. So keep building on your mind map. You can use this in school, so this can help build notes. It can help build your knowledge just from a different perspective. I recommend having fun with it. Don't be afraid. Be brave to get something wrong. Be brave to ask the question again. And photo reading can definitely help with your math. It can definitely help with your school. I mean, that may be its best application. So have fun with your reading. Thank you for joining me in this photo reading session, Activating Algebra the Easy Way by Barron's. If you don't have your photo reading whole mind course, you can get it through me, so you can pick it up in the link below. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, photo reading session, and I will see you soon. So have a great day. Bye. Time to get some coffee.